So in my studio, I use a bunch of different kinds of microphones. Dynamic mics for recording electric guitars, condenser mics for recording vocals, and ribbon mics for violin. But when I want to have fun, when I want to do sonic exploration, I almost always reach for one of these, a contact mic, also known as a piezo microphone. They can be had in many different shapes and sizes, and they're dirt cheap. In fact, I just got this one for $8. So my plan for this video is that we'll talk a little bit about what these microphones are, and then there's a flea market this weekend. We'll go over there and hopefully buy something we can record with a contact mic. Speaking of which, what is a contact mic anyway? Well, unlike traditional microphones, which capture the sound of vibrating air molecules, contact mics pick up vibrations from physical objects. For example, here I've attached a contact mic to the surface of this desk, and I can pick up a whole world of vibrations coming off of the desk. Rolling a pencil, tapping the desk. Everything sounds different when you listen to it this way. Every so often, I'll set aside 20 minutes to collect sounds for sound design. I find it to be sort of a meditative activity. The process is very simple. Clip the microphone onto anything within arm's reach, then interact with the object. Tap it, bow it, crinkle it. Almost any object makes some kind of useful sound. Once you've got a bunch of different recordings, you can do sound design by putting them through effects. Or if you're like me, you'll get distracted and make weird collage music. By the way, this is just one of those rubber balloons, the kind that gets used to make balloon animals. I'm going to make a note to come back to this sound because I actually want to sample it and try to use it as a bass instrument in one of my songs. One of the other benefits of contact mics is you can put them in places you would never dare put a regular microphone. For example, here we have a solid block of ice with a contact mic embedded inside of it. Let's plug it in so we can listen to it. By the way, you may notice that I've been recording through this little amplifier. In general, you'll get a much better sound if you plug your contact mics into an amplifier that's designed for a high impedance signal. These art preamps are cheap, they have the right specs, and as long as they're not broken, they sound pretty decent. Okay, back to our experiment. Let's take the ice out. I'm going to put it into a larger container. And then I'm going to try to just dump seltzer water onto it. That's pretty cool. The sound of thousands of little bubbles popping against the contact mic. That was a weird noise. As the ice heats up, it cracks. I guess that's what those sort of tearing sounds are. It's funny because it looks so peaceful in there. It's like in one of those nature documentaries where they've recorded the sounds of ants going up a log. From a sound design perspective, recordings like this are very useful to me. It can be layered on top of other sounds, used as an impulse response to create a soundscape, or if I want to process it, I can even turn it into a melodic instrument. Check it out. I'm going to start a new Reaper session, and I'm going to take just a small chunk of the audio I recorded. Next, I'm going to add an equalizer to the track. I'm very partial to M Equalizer from Melda, not just because it's free, but because it lets you dial in frequencies based on notes of the musical scale. And that's actually just what we're going to do. I'm going to use it to boost certain frequencies in my source signal, and then I'm going to turn up harmonics. This means I won't just be boosting the frequency I chose, but the octave above, and the octave above that, etc., etc. Next, I'm going to put the signal through another free plugin, Valhalla Supermassive. If you don't have this on your computer, you definitely should. It's a grab bag of different delay and reverb algorithms, and new ones are being added all the time. That sounds cool. Just like that, we have sort of an organic pad sound. And here's what that sounds like if I try to use it as an instrument. Not bad for like 3 minutes of work. And all of that sound originated with just a little bit of ice and seltzer water. Kind of hard to believe. Okay, I think we've done just about as much as we can with the stuff I have on hand. I think it's finally time to head to that flea market. I'm on the hunt for any object that can be used to make musical sound. Bonus points if there's some way to attach a contact mic. It's a usual collection of bric-a-brac, old telephones and typewriters, lots of objects that once had a purpose but are now being used more for decoration. Objects like violins? Wow, and they're $10. I could certainly attach a contact mic to these. This is too good to pass up. I ended up buying 3 violins. The woman I bought them from explicitly said she was selling them as decoration, but she also said she hoped somebody would use them as actual instruments. So I promised her that that was my intention. But now that I've got them home, I kind of have my doubts. They are a mess. This one actually comes with a bunch of hardware, so that's where I'm going to start. First things first, I'm going to put the pegs in. Next, I'm going to attach the tailpiece and the chin rest. We can start to think about where the bridge is going to end up. I've got this old bag of strings that I bought in England. Some of these strings are over 100 years old. I'm going to use more recent ones, though. Here's what it looks like when it's done. A day has passed. I think I'm ready to move on to the next violin. In theory, this should be the same process. One complication is that it's missing its sound post. The sound post is a little peg that stands up inside the body of the violin. It's there both to propagate sound waves and to make sure that the violin doesn't cave in. Even with a special tool, it's a real nuisance to get these in place. Next, we do the chin rest and the tailpiece. Luckily, I have a box of violin parts, and I'm able to find pretty much everything I need for both remaining violins. As I'm working on each instrument, I look for markings that might tell me something about their origin. The only one that has a label of any kind is the third one, which just says Made in Germany. And here they all are. All told, getting these up and running took about 3 hours. Not too bad. Now that we've got our violins in a functional state, let's try them out. I'm going to switch back and forth between them. Okay, now let's hear the same thing on violin B. And finally, violin C. So yeah, each one seems to have its own sound. And here's what they sound like together. Pretty nice. These violins are actually coming at a good time. My friend Cameron and I were planning to work on a string sample library anyway, so I might actually want to use these violins as part of that project. But anyway, let's talk microphones. The sound you're hearing is a combination of the ribbon mic, which I have set up in my studio at all times, and this contact mic that I have attached to the bridge of each instrument. By the way, here's the sound of just the contact mic. So yeah, it's very dry and a bit muffled. And here's the sound of the ribbon mic. And to me, even though the ribbon mic sounds way better, what actually sounds best is a combination of both microphones. The contact mic adds a little bit of warmth and makes the whole thing sound a little bit less brittle. It also gives me one other advantage. Normally, there's no way to plug an acoustic violin into a guitar effects pedal, but now I can just plug my contact mic into whatever effects chain I might have currently set up. And yeah, I always have an effects chain set up. In the past few days, I've been experimenting a lot with the Solar 42 from Elta Music. The Solar 42 is, of course, a drone synthesizer designed for ambient music, but it can also be used as a signal processor. It has this unique cartridge system. Each cartridge comes with 3 algorithms. I'm just going to pick one at random and try it out. This one just says magic. Let's try it out. I'm going to play something on the violin and see what it sounds like. That's really cool. By the way, what you're hearing is a mix of the sound from the room and the effects chain. If I were just to play the effect signal, here's what it would sound like. Okay, let's mess with the settings a bit. Okay, that is really fun to play. That's the pitch shifter from the Solar 42. I have an idea. Let's try to use the pitch shifter on both the Solar 42 and the mood pedal. I'm going to pitch shift up an octave on the Solar 42, and then I'm going to use the mood pedal to kind of chop things up. Oh, that's so cool. I'm going to record a bunch of notes quickly and then see if I can turn it into a sample library. Now that I've got my recordings, I'm going to chop them up, label them, and map them out onto the piano keyboard. And here's the resulting sample library. What we're hearing is just the effects chain. I'm going to turn this knob, and that should introduce some of the natural sounds of the violin. It's funny, this was meant to be a video about contact mics, but I guess now it's a video about violins as well. All in all, quite an adventure. Of course, it doesn't end there. Not only does each effects unit have a large number of different modes and algorithms, but each responds in a unique way to different playing styles. The permutations are nearly limitless. Over the months that follow, Cameron and I each do hundreds of experiments, recording many different playing styles and articulations, both dry and into various effects chains. We also bring in other instruments, 2 cellos and 3 violas. The result? A new sample library called String Flows. I'm so proud of this library. I think it sounds gorgeous. All told, it contains a whopping 62 different presets, which of course range from the conventional to the more experimental. For the next 2 weeks, this library is $29, after which it goes up to its regularly scheduled price of $69. So if you're looking for an interesting string library, you may want to pick it up now while the price is low. Also, Refractions is back on sale, so if you've been meaning to pick that up, now's a great time. Okay, I think that's it. See you soon.